I'm going to start this video with a story that will change your way of thinking. In a distant small town, there lived an old man whose reputation as a wise man attracted people from all over. He lived a simple life, immersed in deep reflections on the mysteries of existence. Those who sought him always left feeling lighter, with a clearer mind. One day, a restless, talkative, and curious young man appeared, full of stories and opinions, but feeling a void that words could not fill. The wise man, after observing the young man, proposed an unexpected challenge: 7 days of absolute silence. In return, he would share a lesson every dawn. On the first day, the wise man said, "Never reveal other people's secrets. What is entrusted to you in secret must remain so. Breaking that trust can destroy ties and create unnecessary conflicts." The young man, in silence, absorbed the words. On the second day, the lesson was, don't tell everyone your plans. Not everyone around you wants your success. Keeping your project secret protects you from invisible obstacles. This idea made the young man reflect deeply. When the third day arrived, the sage said, "Do not spread your complaints. Complaining and spreading negativity does not solve problems. Instead, seek reconciliation or forgiveness." And so, day after day, the young man found himself more and more connected to silence. On the fourth day, the lesson about generosity came. Don't boast about your acts of kindness. True generosity does not seek applause. It creates a silent but transformative impact. The young man began to perceive the peace that emerged from this wisdom. On the fifth day, the wise man advised, avoid talking about other people's defects. Criticizing others only fuels pride and disunity. Choose empathy, as we all have our flaws. This lesson gave the young man a new perspective, full of understanding. On the sixth day, the sage said, do not expose your fears unnecessarily. When you reveal your fears, you give others power over you. Face them with courage. The young man discovered an inner strength he had never felt. Finally, on the seventh day, the sage shared his final wisdom. Do not talk about your wealth or possessions. They do not define who you are. True wealth is in your mind and your heart. With that, the week of silence came to an end, and the young man, deeply transformed, left, carrying with him lessons that would change his life forever. These 7 lessons are more than just secrets. These are principles that lead to a life of peace and harmony. And now that we understand the value of keeping them to ourselves, let's start with the first thing that smart people avoid saying: gossip. Just imagine, you're at work, drinking that basic coffee, when you hear someone ask, "Did you see what happened to that person?" Or the boss called someone into the room. Do you know why? At that moment, your heart races, your curiosity awakens, and you are tempted to know more. But do you really need to get involved? Gossip may seem harmless, but it's like ice cream that melts quickly, sweet at first, but soon turns into an unwanted mess. Smart people know that gossip is poison masquerading as fun. But why are we so attracted to gossip? A study by the University of California showed that it occupies around 65% of our daily conversations. In other words, we are practically addicted to talking about other people's lives. Of course, not all gossip is destructive. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar suggests that gossip helped our ancestors form bonds and share information important for survival. But when it goes beyond the limits, things change. And how do we know if we are exaggerating? Be aware, if what you're about to say would make someone uncomfortable, you might want to rethink it. Or if deep down you are taking pleasure in other people's misfortunes, ask yourself, what if it were me? Yes, resisting the temptation to gossip isn't easy. It's like trying not to think about an apple after someone mentions apple. But the key here is to redirect that energy. Instead of spreading gossip, how about sharing knowledge or exploring a new topic that inspires you? Socrates said, The best way to gain a good reputation is to be what you want to appear. So why not apply some strategies? Number 1. Challenge yourself to spend the next 5 days without talking about other people's lives. It may seem difficult, but at the end of a week, you will notice a huge difference in how you see things and even in your relationships. Be the positive force in the conversation. When someone tries to bring up another person, turn the conversation into something constructive. Talk about qualities, not defects. Number 2. Practice mindful pausing. Before you open your mouth, take a deep breath and give your brain a few seconds to filter your words. These few seconds may be enough to prevent you from falling into the gossip trap. And if you've ever found yourself falling for it, don't blame yourself. The most important thing is to be aware and commit to change, because your words have power, and that power can both build and destroy. Now, the second point that smart people avoid: speaking on impulse. That feeling when words come out of your mouth before your mind has time to process them. It happens to everyone, but truly wise people learn to master the art of strategic silence. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth to hear twice as much as we speak." And wasn't he right? A Harvard study found that people who think before they speak are seen as more intelligent and trustworthy. Silence can be a powerful tool. So how do we avoid those hasty words that often bring us regret? Here's a trick. Before speaking, especially in moments of tension, pause and count to 5. 5 seconds may seem like nothing, but it makes all the difference between an impulsive response and a balanced response. Imagine yourself in a family argument. You're about to say something hurtful, but you pause and count to 5. Suddenly, your response comes out much more considered and less aggressive, and the conflict dissolves before it even begins. Another powerful technique is practicing mindfulness. This means being completely present in the moment, aware of your emotions and thoughts before expressing yourself. This acts as a natural filter for your words, ensuring you respond clearly and carefully. Number 3. Lies. Have you ever wondered why some people live in constant trouble? Today we're going to talk about one of the most dangerous habits you can cultivate: lying. It may seem harmless at first, but it's like building a tower of cards. Every lie you tell is another stacked card, and the higher it gets, the more fragile it becomes. All it takes is one small slip, and everything falls apart. Everyone at some point has told a little lie. But there is a huge difference between an occasional lie and turning it into a routine. Lying is like using cheap perfume to cover up a bad smell. It may work for a moment, but soon the scent of dishonesty becomes impossible to hide, driving away those you most want to be around. Why do we lie? Often, it is fear speaking loudest. Fear of conflict, of disappointing, or simply because it seems like the easiest way out. But those who are really intelligent know that, although the truth may be uncomfortable at the moment, it brings much better results in the long term. Think of your relationships like a bank account. Every act of honesty is a deposit, while every lie is a withdrawal. Too many withdrawals, and you are in the red, without anyone's trust. It's not that you have to be brutally honest all the time. The secret is in balance. Emotional honesty is knowing the right time to speak and the right time to just listen. Want an example? Let's say someone close to you asks you for an opinion, but you realize that they're not really ready to hear the truth. Instead of spilling what you really think, a simple phrase like, "I'll let you think about it," might be enough. The key is knowing when honesty is productive and when it can cause more harm than good. As someone once wisely said, "Truth without compassion is cruelty, but compassion without truth is manipulation." So before you give in to the temptation to lie, ask yourself if it's really worth compromising your integrity. Lies not only weigh heavy on the heart, they also steal the chance to be true to yourself. It's like carrying extra luggage. It may seem light at first, but in the end, the price is always higher than you imagine. Number 4. intimate financial details. Now, imagine that your bank account is like a safe full of treasures. Would you go around handing out the combination to just anyone? Of course. And likewise, it's a smart decision to keep personal financial details private. When it comes to money, the less people know, the better. Big names in the business world have said that sharing personal financial information only brings problems and can be expensive. And they are right. Talking openly about your earnings or expenses can generate envy, unnecessary competition, and even attract opportunists. A study revealed that those who keep their finances more private tend to have healthier, judgment-free relationships. Think about how often people change their attitude when they find out how much someone earns or how much they spend. By keeping these details private, you protect yourself from being judged and prevent relationships from becoming based on comparisons or rivalries. This doesn't mean you have to be a locked safe forever. Share information when necessary, with those who really need to know, such as partners or financial advisors. But for everyone else, keep your financial treasures to yourself. When someone insists on asking about your finances, a light, humorous response can save the moment without seeming arrogant. Something like, "The situation is under control, no loans are needed for now," or "I'm grateful for what I have," is enough to cut the subject short without creating discomfort. Protecting your financial details is not about being mysterious, but about being wise. This gives you the power to control your own narrative and avoid problems that could arise from oversharing. Number 5. Provocations. Have you ever been in a situation where someone tries to provoke you, making your blood rise and wanting you to react on impulse? Before you take this bait, understand why smart people avoid falling for this game. Teasers are like annoying commercials that interrupt your favorite series. What do? Change the channel, right? The same goes for provocations. Changing the focus, changing the subject, avoids unnecessary confrontations. Our brain reacts to provocations as if they were threats, activating our defense instincts. But here's where emotional intelligence comes into play. It acts as an invisible shield that allows us to see beyond other people's intentions. Behind many provocations, there is insecurity, fear, or even boredom. Avoiding provocations is not a sign of weakness, quite the opposite. It requires more self-control than fighting back. It's like resisting that last slice of pizza when you're on a diet. It seems difficult, but the satisfaction afterwards is much greater. Number 6. Speak in anger. The best response to anger is silence. Have you heard this before? Think about it. Anger is an explosive emotion, but when uncontrolled, it's like an out-of-control fire that consumes everything around it. Now visualize this anger as a fire that, if not tamed, can destroy relationships, ruin opportunities, and even devastate your peace of mind. However, if you learn to control this fire, you can use it for something constructive, like illuminating your own journey or warming the relationships around you. How many times have you said something in the heat of the moment and regretted it soon after? This is where true wisdom comes in, knowing when to speak and when silence is the best choice. An intelligent individual does not let anger dominate him, but turns it into a controlled impulse, shaping his words to build, not destroy. Deep down, we all have this power. The question is, how are you dealing with the fire that burns inside you? Anger, when well managed, stops being a destructive force and becomes a tool for transformation. So the next time you feel your blood rising, take a deep breath, count to 10, and let your words reflect wisdom rather than impulsiveness. Whoever controls anger controls his life. Number 7. Oversharing on social media. Have you ever thought that social networks are like windows of your life? Each post is a window you open to the world. But the question is, how many windows do you really want to leave open? We are living in the age of overexposure, and we often don't even realize how much we are showing. Imagine your life is a house full of treasures. Would you let anyone come in and poke around at will? Sure, social media is an amazing tool, but there's a healthy line between what you share and what you should keep private. After all, think about it. Every post, photo, or opinion you put on the internet is like a digital tattoo, difficult to remove and often permanent. Who has never regretted an old post that resurfaced years later? The smart strategy is to find balance. Want a tip? Separate your personal life from your professional life, as if you were dividing your work clothes from your leisure clothes. And above all, protect your privacy. Strong passwords, two-factor authentication, and being careful about who you allow to follow your networks are some basic but powerful steps. After all, who do you let look through the window of your life? Number 8. Making fun of others. Have you ever stopped to think about the impact of a joke? Making fun of someone may seem harmless in the moment, but what does it really say about who you are? Anyone who makes fun of another person is usually reflecting their own insecurities. It's easy to laugh at others when you fear the laughter is about to be directed at you. It's like a fragile shield that we build to protect ourselves from something that is actually already inside us. But what if you could turn the tide? What if, instead of using sarcasm as a weapon, you used empathy as your greatest defense? Truly intelligent people know that true strength lies in understanding, not in humiliating. When you choose not to respond to a provocation, you are proving something much greater, that you are unshakable. Imagine the power you have when you disarm a nasty joke with a simple smile, or better yet, with a response full of humor and lightness. Laughter is one of the best medicines, but the secret is to laugh with others, not at others. When you stop ridiculing, you unlock a new level in your interactions. Your conversations become deeper, connections more real, and the environment around you lighter. So the next time you feel like mocking someone, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what would a truly wise person do now? Number 9. Empty commitments. Have you ever found yourself saying yes to something knowing that, deep down, you won't do it? Empty commitments are like bad checks. They seem like solid promises at the time, but when it comes time to honor them, the balance is insufficient. And like all bad checks, they bring problems, for you and for those who trusted your word. Why do we insist on falling into this trap? The truth is, our brain loves approval. Saying yes seems to be the easiest way to gain the sympathy of others. But here's the secret. In the long run, those empty yes can cost a lot more than we realize. Think about it. Every commitment you make is like a deposit into someone else's trust account. When you don't comply, you make a large withdrawal from that account. Lots of withdrawals? Soon you will be in the red, with your credibility ruined. So, how can you avoid falling into the trap of empty commitments? The answer lies in some simple but powerful attitudes. First, before committing, ask yourself whether you can really deliver what you promise. Second, learn the power of no. An honest no is always worth more than a yes that you will break later. Third, be realistic with your time and skills. And finally, communicate clearly. If you're not sure you can do something, don't be afraid to be transparent. Remember, your promises are like social contracts. They are not words in the wind, but commitments that shape your reputation. And as Warren Buffett wisely said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and only 5 minutes to destroy it. Therefore, promising little and delivering a lot is the formula for building a solid reputation and reliable relationships. Number 10. Respect for beliefs and religion. Have you ever stopped to think about how diverse beliefs are around the world? Each person has a unique set of experiences that shape their faith and convictions. Imagine a vast garden filled with different flowers, each with a unique color, shape, and scent. These flowers represent the different religions and beliefs that exist. Now, imagine a gardener who only appreciates a single species of flower, pulling out the others without realizing the beauty of diversity. This gardener loses the richness of the garden by focusing only on a single plant. This is what happens when we disrespect the beliefs of others. We miss the chance to learn from the diversity of human thought. Wise people know that there is always something to learn, even from beliefs and religions they do not share. It's like reaping the fruits of wisdom in all its forms, without prejudice. Respecting the beliefs of others does not mean agreeing with them, but rather recognizing the right of each person to live in accordance with their values and faith. After all, the true value of an individual is not in their beliefs, but in how they treat the people around them. Number 11. Do not disclose privacy or secrets of third parties. Have you ever thought about the power that trust has over any relationship? When someone trusts you with a secret, it's like giving you a piece of their soul, expecting you to guard it with the utmost care. Divulging secrets is like dropping a grenade into a room full of trust. The explosion can be devastating, destroying friendships and relationships that took years to build. Imagine a sturdy structure, made of solid bricks. Each brick represents the trust placed in you. Now visualize a crack forming when you break that trust. Over time, this small crack can expand and compromise the entire construction. Relationships are like these structures. They can be strong and resilient, but a single failure of trust can be the beginning of the end. So why risk it? Is it really worth sacrificing lasting friendships for a moment of attention or a fleeting feeling of superiority? Wise people know that keeping a secret is more than an act of loyalty. It is a reflection of character. By protecting others' confidences, you not only strengthen your relationships, but also build an unshakable reputation. Trust is like gold, valuable and difficult to recover when lost. Number 12. Don't publicize your dissatisfactions. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to what happens that matters. This quote from Epictetus is a true compass for anyone seeking emotional wisdom. After all, what's the point in constantly complaining? Publicizing your dissatisfactions is like continuing to stir a cup of tea. The liquid will never calm down if you continue to disturb it. By spreading your complaints, you keep the inner turmoil alive, creating a cycle of negativity that can feel impossible to break out of. Now, here's a challenge. How many times in the last week have you complained about something? Be honest. And now reflect. Of these times, how many actually solved the problem? How many actually made you feel better? It's interesting how, when we silence our dissatisfactions and shift the focus to concrete actions, solutions begin to emerge naturally. Controlling the reaction to problems is the real key. And it's not a question of ignoring your feelings, but of learning to direct your energy towards what really matters. So now that you know these behaviors that smart people avoid, it's time to reflect. Which of these topics resonated most with you? Leave it in the comments. I'd love to know. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Share this video with whoever needs to hear it and leave a like. This makes all the difference and helps spread these ideas. Until the next video.